everyone, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our, what do we share? We share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. My name is Lewis, and I'm an idiot today, and
Only today.
Just today.
Yeah, that's new. And I'm Mitch. You know what? I'm in the mood for some Mexican food.
Mood for Mexican food.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like eating like 9 piles of chips. I don't, like when you go in there and you eat more chips than actual food. I think I'm going to do that today.
Yeah, that is a weakness.
Probably won't help my diet, but
no. And it's a little different. We're recording a little later than normal today. We have a guest joining us in the afternoon versus the morning, which is typical for when we record. So maybe that's why the Mexican. You're picking up dinner on the way home?
No, I think that we have a bunch of stuff to do today. So
your cupboards were pretty full last night when we were over for burgers.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Made me a little jealous. I got home and like looking at the cupboards, I'm like, holy cow. Man, you guys are prepped to make food no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Man, wish we were more that way. But yeah, we do have a guest joining us today. A little different. No, I guess it's kind of the same for this year.
Kind of the same.
I was gonna say a little different because last year we didn't have nearly as many guests, but this year we're focusing on guests, and so this is exciting. This is the new format. It's fun, and the guest joining us today is part of the West Michigan Whiskey Rollers. They have a couple of races, one called the Midwest Everest and the Wicked Worm. Interesting names, and we will dive into those, I'm sure. But anyway, Patrick Dunning, hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on this show.
Super. So first of all, I got to ask, whiskey, like West Michigan Whiskey Rollers, where does that come from?
So my brother-in-law and I, whenever we would do an ultra, you have that down week afterwards, and we still had that urge to get out in the trails and move around and move our bodies, and we for a while really wanted to nail down the distances of some of the local trails, and we'd bring a rolling wheel and a little flask of whiskey and just walk with the wheel and chat and recap the race and take some pulls on the whiskey, and by the end of it, we had the right distance. And
you think you had the right distance?
Depends on how many pulls off the whiskey.
Not too many. We kept it pretty good, But it's more bonding than anything.
I'm hoping good whiskey then, at least.
Mostly good whiskey. Sometimes not so good.
Yeah.
Whatever took the sting off.
Yeah.
Right.
No bad whiskey. I don't know.
Well, you're like more of a bourbon.
Bourbon.
Is bourbon a whiskey?
It is.
It is.
It
Okay.
is, but it's like, there's rules around bourbon versus whiskey.
Gotcha. You
can only call certain whiskeys bourbon.
Right. Bourbon is a whiskey, but not all whiskey is a bourbon.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So that's where it started. The Whiskey Rollers, West Michigan Whiskey Rollers, was you and your brother.
My brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Going out and sipping on whiskey and literally pulling a wheel to figure out the trail distances.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
It's been a few years. I would say, it's maybe about 6-7 years ago. The last few years seem like it's kind of gone by so quick, and it's like compressed.
We've lost a couple of years in there for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, about 6 or 7 years. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of it was just about just getting out there, getting back in the woods, and moving our bodies.
Gotcha.
So
get everything shaken out and back to training form so you could train for the next one.
Yep.
Cool. Well, we're not here necessarily to talk about that as much as maybe a little bit about your history in running. And let's start there. One of the questions we'd love to ask is what got you involved with endurance running or marathon running or running in general, any kind of endurance sport? What got you started?
I started in middle school, and I started doing track in middle school, and I kind of didn't like it initially, and this is kind of goofy, and I'm a little bit of a mama's boy, but my mom had told me at a certain point that she thought that running was one of the most beautiful things that a human body could do. And I was like, yeah.
Have you ever seen Mitch run?
Well, nobody's seen you run for at least 4 months. So.
Yeah, if she could see me at the end of a marathon too, she'd probably change her mind on
Very
that.
beautiful.
A little ugly sometimes, but just that, the expression of your body being able to do something is like that is incredible. So in high school, I ran and got a little better at it. And went to Grand Valley. First couple years, stopped running and put on a, freshman, sophomore 50. And realized I needed to get back into that, and because I was missing it, and, my body was missing it. And signed up for a 5K, and I think I heard one of you guys mention the Pietro's race in one of your previous episodes. The Pietro's Run Fasta Eat Pasta, I think it was. No chips.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've stopped doing this. I love it. So it just escalated quickly, from there.
A 5K to a 10K to a half, or 5K right to marathon?
I think I went up to 10K, and then I jumped to a marathon.
Okay. 5K, 10K marathon.
What was your first marathon?
It was the Rock and Roll Marathon in Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I think that's a good course. I think it's pretty flat, right?
Oh, yeah. It was really flat. It's beautiful. And I love running hot weather too.
I think we share that, or at least I used to.
I'm torn on that because I hate snow, but I love Arizona. But when it gets too hot, I suffer for sure.
Yeah. I still enjoy it, but it is more of a suffer fest now for me. Man, I don't know what it is, but I think it's ever since Western States. It's not been the same for me. So that got you started with endurance running of some sort. When was that? So how long has that been?
I think that was the marathon was 2003.
Okay. Wow.
And I was terrible at it. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, who does?
Who does?
But this is gonna sound terrible, but I think my longest run was a 5-miler, and I knew.
What?
I know. Yeah.
Lewis,
goodness.
It was bad.
Lewis, you can run a marathon completely untrained.
Oh my gosh. No.
I don't know if I'd recommend it.
No, I would not recommend it.
I would. Don't bash on his hopes or my hopes or whatever it is.
Yours for sure. They are not my hopes. Well, that's awesome. And then that just continued, and you've had this passion ever since, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that led to you and your brother-in-law basically forming the West Michigan Whiskey Rollers. Now, why that formation? Why? Why the West Michigan Whiskey Rollers?
We had been saying it for a long time, just joking casually together about how we're the West Michigan Whiskey Rollers, but nobody really knew about it.
Oh, gotcha.
And then we kind of started playing around with the idea of putting together some organized events and some races, and the dream was to try to put together a 100-miler. It seemed kind of daunting, and one night after
some whiskey,
some whiskey, some beers, some Too Hard, we kind of came up with this idea of doing a 100-miler at Cannonsburg, but doing it in a Everesting format.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And then so that's what started the process, or like you see, I started bouncing that around. When did that actually come to fruition? Like, when did you guys start putting, you know what, we're going to do this? And when did it actually start?
So our first year was actually 2020.
Oh, great timing.
I know.
Jeez.
And we were. I can't speak for Jake and Holly, but I was so nervous about putting on a race during the pandemic. For good reasons.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, at least we have the excuse that we can't have a ton of people show up, so we can keep it small and organized and like watch people like a hawk, and we wanted to make sure that people were safe. And so that first year it ended up being fantastic, and that was 2020. We're on this next one will be our fourth, actually. We've had 3.
Oh, yeah. It's always weird because you got to count the first year.
Yeah.
So you can't go 2020 and then go 1, 2, 3. It's actually the fourth year.
So next intro, I'm Lewis and I'm bad with math.
Oh, no, I got it. It just takes me longer. I'm an old school calculator. I'm not a new computer. Well, that's really cool. So you guys are coming up on your 4th year this year. And let's jump into the races a little bit. One is called, I guess I'd like to start with the Wicked Worm, because I think, I don't know, I just think the Everest one sounds really interesting and cool. And maybe the Wicked Worm is too, but obviously the Everest one is the 100-miler. Wicked Worm is The
Wicked Worm is, we have a 12-hour distance and a 6-hour distance and then a 10K. And I don't know if you guys had run Bad Apple Ultra.
Did.
Yeah, he did. He put on such a great race.
I have not. Have you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have not. But I've done a timed event.
I think I did it the first year as a relay, and then I've done it solo once, I think. Yeah, I like Ben. Right.
Yeah. It was just
he's a good guy.
Fantastic race. I loved it. And I thought, man, it would be really cool to do that at Robinette's, and it would be sort of brutal there too, because that trail is...
Yeah, it can be.
It can be very unforgiving.
What is the loop there? How long is the loop there?
I believe it's I think it's a 10K.
That's what I was thinking, right about 6 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that is you use that loop, the 6-ish or 10K loop, and it's just you run for either 10K, 6 hours or 12 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's cool. And then and so that one is the same. The same age. You started both of these races the same year?
No, we did our first one for Wicked Worm last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is the second year.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is the second year for Wicked Worm.
When is that?
Mm-hmm. June 17.
Okay.
And it's at Robinette's Apple House. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool to see people who may not have thought that they could pull off an ultra and have that space for them where, they have the time, whether they're doing a 12 or a 6, and they can accomplish it and see that, I can do it too. And it's just like, watching them, it's almost like watching Golden Hour, at the end of 100. And it's just, it brings people to tears, seeing how much joy they have.
It's interesting too, though, because you do a timed event instead. So just do whatever you can. That's what I did like about Bad Apple, is that you have all that time. You can, whether you do a loop in an hour or 2 hours, it doesn't matter, but you can still get that distance if you really want that distance.
How many entrants have you had in the Wicked Worm? Like, what's the size of your race right now?
Gosh.
Roughly. I mean, is it 50? Is it 20? Is it...
I think for the 12-hour, I want to say it was in the maybe 12 or 15.
And then how many people are showing up for the entire race? Just curious.
I think it was around 50-ish. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But.
Gotcha. And you're obviously looking for that to grow a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to have, 100 people, 200 people out there?
I think 100 people would be
nice.
a great number, yeah.
Especially for that size of trail, because you get too many people out there and you're going to have, it gets to be too busy.
Yeah.
It's a choo-choo train through the woods.
It is a fun trail. If you've never been out there and tried Robinettes, I would recommend it. I think it's a fun course.
I think the West Michigan Trail Runners are out there on Sundays typically.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've done that with that group.
Yeah,
before.
I think I've been out there a couple of times. I think I've done a 50K out there with them.
Oh, really?
Before, yeah, when I was training for Western. I don't remember, but anyway. Well, that's awesome. So that's coming up June 17th?
June 17th.
You said?
Yep.
That's awesome. That's cool. What is and so you guys must have a website, West Michigan Whiskey Rollers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. WestMichiganWhiskeyRollers.com. You can check out that race and the Midwest Everest. And that's one, Mitch and I are torn on this because I think it sounds more fun than he does.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. I mean, everybody has a thing. I don't think it would be my thing, to be honest. Because
it is a loop course. It is a 100-miler for one. Well, no, actually, it's a 100-miler, a 50-miler, and a 10K.
Correct.
So it's pick your poison. Is it? Can you drop down?
You can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can sign up for the 100, and if you just get mind-numbingly bored or just sick of the hill. Now, so let's dive into this a little bit. It's called the Midwest Everest. It is like we just said, 150 or 10K. Tell us about the course.
So the course is up the main face of Canonsburg Ski Resort, their main big hill, and I think it's about 0.62 the total distance of the loop. And we have the runners go up 152 times. And
wow!
Whenever I say it, I always feel a little bad.
Yeah.
And then they have 4 what we kind of call bailout loops that they can go anytime during the race. And that kind of plays into strategy too. We've had some people do all 4 of the 2-mile loops right away and got it out of the way. And then some other people kind of prefer to like take a break, get out in the woods, get away from the hill for a while and come back.
Yep.
Kind of freshen up that way.
And that is a 2-mile loop?
It's a 2-mile loop. Yep.
And that has no hill, essentially. That's just a loop in the woods and back?
It's, well...
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter if you're going to do the ski hill first.
Yeah, because I was going to say Canonsburg's got. I mean, it's hilly out in those trails. I mean, it's not, but it's not the same as going straight up the ski hill.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple little punchy areas through there, so they get a little break, but it's more, I think, more mental, more of a mental break for them.
Yeah, 152 times.
I could see that. So it's as much, like as challenging it is to go up that hill, but to do a 0.62 mile. I mean, it would play mind games on you, I would think, after a while.
Yeah.
And do you chip time that too, or how do you keep track of the loops?
Our first year, we actually, I can't believe we did this. We tallied it by hand.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. We ended up getting an RFID system, small one, and that's what we're using.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So then that helps us and we have more hands on the runners and make sure that we can make the experience more personal. And that's kind of a thing that we pride ourselves on too with this race is that like it's hard. It's really hard, but we have so many people there and everybody who is there is rooting for everybody to keep on going. And we kind of act as a crew for them too. As much as we can within, the limits of fairness.
Yeah, and if those that are listening right now haven't figured this out, but it's called the Midwest Everest because it's equivalent to
the height of Mount Everest.
Okay.
So 29,029 feet, I believe. So we say that's how much that you get, but in actuality, it's been more like 31,000 feet.
Okay. Wow.
And maybe a little bit more than 100, too. We don't want to short anybody. It's West Michigan, so,
Right.
Well, we like to get our value.
Right.
That's what they say about me when I golf. I get my value in the course because I'm all over it. That's not a good thing for golf or your score, but
we have done looped courses,
Yeah.
and it can be a big party.
Yeah.
I think the party'd be over after about, I don't know, 30 miles. So I don't, because after that point you just don't care anymore.
I think it would be really neat in the sense of, like at Circular Logic when we did that one, you see everybody, and at Cannonsburg you're going to essentially see everybody doing that 0.6 mile loop. I mean, you're going to see everybody all the time.
You don't even have to have that many people out there, and you're seeing them all the time.
But man,
I imagine the
mentally,
lights would look cool after.
That's what I'm thinking on the hill.
Yeah.
Like when you're constantly doing that loop, and well, I guess you really, well, with the RFID system, you probably could. Can you go either way, or is it one way only?
We have it one way only.
Okay.
Yeah.
The downhill too sucks. I remember because I've done the 50K out there. Trying to think, Dirty Berg. I've done that a bunch of times, and coming down that hill, oh my gosh! I always hurt myself. It seems like
I enjoy the downhill on that one.
Although it's funny, so I don't think jarring.
I don't think I've ever run the race, but I've ran it several times because I've always volunteered.
I thought we did run it together. No,
I've ran it with you and Nicole pacing.
Oh, okay.
But I've never signed up. I always volunteered, and I always basically make it an all-day thing where I help check in, and then I sweep the course.
And then stick the flags in your beard.
Yeah, I did do that one
we
year.
We have to find that picture because that's pretty funny. Because that's when you had that giant beard.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've always picked up the flags at the end as well. Or I did that for a few years. It's just a way of helping out. But yeah, so that is man, that race sounds fun. So you've had how many people run that race? Do you know off the top of your head?
We have actually we've only had 12 people finish the 100 miler in 3 years now. We had 2021 we only had one. We had one.
Okay.
We had I think 12 about 12 people sign up and one person finished.
But you do have to give it the COVID years for sure.
Yeah.
And then people weren't crazy about signing up for stuff.
Yeah. So hopefully this would be a year. I don't know. Things are pretty much. I mean,
everything's
they're
open.
pretty much back now, and like people are feeling more norm.
But it is definitely very niche. Like you have to pick the right people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like us signing up for Circular Logic.
Right.
I mean, we have talked to people about that race, and
we had
like,
fantastic.
We had a blast, but we talked to people, and they're like, "How could you possibly do that for 8 hours or for whatever marathon or whatever?"
Well, we did the marathon, and we did the marathon a couple times, I think, and then we did the 8 hour one. That one.
I only did the 8 hour one.
Oh, that's right.
You guys went the year before, and did you do the marathon?
Mm-hmm. They changed it and they added the 8 hour the next year. So we're like, hey, we're all training for ultras. Let's just do that.
Gotcha. Okay. But that to say, we did talk to people, and I think we would have even agreed prior to having done one of those races. It seems like no way, but then you do one, and it is a blast. Do you have it? I'm curious. Do you guys have it to where they can set up their own table and all of that and have their own aid station? And
so you mentioned Javelina.
Yeah.
I paced my brother-in-law, Jake, at Javelina. And
nice.
We just had a blast running through, all that, like that tent city area.
It is awesome.
What year did you do that?
He did that, I think, in, I want to say 2017.
Okay.
2017 I think it was 2017. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I crewed Lewis out there in 2021.
2021. Yeah.
Yeah, the tent city, that is so
That's a blast.
It is a lot of fun, and I ate so much junk food. When I finally had to go out and pay some, my stomach was messed up.
So I take it that's what you did is basically try to create that type of an atmosphere.
Yeah. We allow the runners to bring a tent, and they can set up their own cruise situation, their own aid station situation, and then we have aid station for them, and we will make food for them, whatever they want, pretty much.
Nice.
You know, like bottom of the hill, that they'll say, "Oh man, I'm really craving some bacon and eggs."
Oh
And
my gosh! I just realized that.
You
that
got
would
time,
be
so
awesome.
they can head back out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come down and get their order.
Yep, and then it's hot.
That is, I had not even thought of that. That's awesome.
That's a plus.
That is a huge plus.
Because us ultra runners like to eat.
Yeah.
Do you have pie? Do you have pie though?
We can have pie.
I like pie.
We'll put it on the list.
that I had not even thought of that part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Seems
That's
really cool because in a normal, I say normal race. This is a normal race, but in a traditional longer loop
it's not a
race,
it's really not a normal race.
well, it's still 100 miles.
but that's okay.
Yeah, it's different. But I'm just thinking like in a normal longer loop race, let's say you get to an aid station, which I have done this several times. You get to an aid station, you're like, hey, do you have any grilled cheese? Because that's something that I really like.
Yeah, and they have them, they're all cold.
Well, they're either cold or they're out and they're like, well, we're making some. It'll be like 10 minutes. Like,
Right, you can't.
man, I don't want to wait 10 minutes. This is rough enough on me.
But now you could go up that stupid hill.
Yeah,
and come back
down
and be like,
half
oh,
hour
you know
later
what?
for that 0.6 miles.
And you're indecisive. You're like, oh, I changed my mind. I don't want a grilled cheese now. Could you?
Chicken broth, chicken noodle soup. So what do your aid stations look like? Like, what do you have at them?
Well, we have
for that one particular.
We have one, and we have like lots of like standard fare, like M&M's, Sour Patch Kids,
the full ultra aid station,
potatoes,
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, Pringles, and then we have we have a grill there, a big grill, and we have one of our team loves to cook for people, and we'll just make whatever has been requested. Yeah.
A burger.
Yeah.
That would be Brian. I remember at the Huff him eating a whole cheeseburger.
Oh my gosh.
Because that one aid station, it was
They had burgers?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
at a 50K?
Yeah.
Wow.
That the Huff does a good job too.
I'll say. I mean, that's something that I could see at a much farther distance, like 100-miler.
Yeah.
Because that's usually when you get into real food.
Right.
When you literally can take 10 minutes, sit down, eat, take your time. But
you do. Some of us go through the aid stations and try to keep moving.
Do whatever I got to do to get through them.
We're working on this, though, right?
We're working on aid. I definitely know the aid station time for me is something I can shorten.
You think?
For sure. And it just depends. Like, I don't know, man. When you are deep into, I don't even have to be deep into 100. I usually from 50K to 50 miles is where
you get your money's worth.
I get my money's worth. I check out. I take my time. Well, that's really cool. And so when is the Midwest Everest?
It is at the end of September and right into the beginning of October. So the last day of
Usually the last weekend in September.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
So you could be getting into some weather.
The year we only had one finisher, we got a really, really cold snap. I think it was around 10 or 11. And I think that had a little bit of an impact on the runners. And, we're just, we've been kind of crossing our fingers and hoping that we won't get like thunder snow or whatever, Michigan.
But that is ultra running, though.
Right.
You're dealing, like road races, they'd cancel them.
Right.
Ultras, we bear down and we go.
Keep on going. I mean, that's the way it's been for a couple that we've been in. Yeah. They don't really stop. So any special, a couple of things, any do you have any other events coming? Are you guys like, hey, you know what, we should do this or we should look at this? Anything exciting on the horizon? Are you guys doing anything special? Like, do you have any specials for entries or anything like that?
Well, we don't have any more races on the horizon right now. We're
focusing on these two.
Yeah, our race director Holly Espinoza really wants the race to be really catered to the runners and have them have the most personal experience that they can have. And as far as like anything else associated with the race, we do have a charity partner,
Cool.
which is the No Surrender Running Club, which is a fantastic organization.
Yeah.
And we're for Wicked Wearman Midwest Everest, portion of our proceeds are going to that as
That's
well.
awesome. What is? Tell us about that.
They are an organization that helps empower kids in disadvantaged areas to kind of create more confidence in themselves through sport and running, and just try to. They really seem to be seeking to make like running in particular not something that's so much like a punishment, but something that you learn about yourself and learn what you can do, and it's a fantastic organization. They I think it's the end of April. They are starting a training schedule. I think it's Garfield Park on April 28th, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Okay.
But just
that's awesome.
Getting kids to love running and love fitness and becoming more empowered through that.
That's cool. Yeah, we had a good friend of ours that used to be involved with that. Jim Kelly used to he used to like coach, or maybe he was part of. I don't remember exactly, but I remember I think he was coaching either a school, and he ended up going to do that instead, or something like that. But I remember when we were actually upstairs, and Nicole said, "Hey, I think that's what Jim Kelly did." And as soon as we pulled up the website, it's like, "Oh yeah, he did help with that."
When I was looking at like the things that you've done, like you said, you've done Rim to River, and so you've been out to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, actually, that's the Grand Canyon portion is for me is also part of why I wanted to start doing ultra running. My younger brother, one of my younger brothers, and I decided stupidly to hike down to the Colorado.
I don't think that was dumb. I think that's a good idea.
Well, it created a shift, that's for sure. But we weren't prepared.
That was bad.
Yeah, we had probably enough water normally, but not in the beginning, like on a summer day, going down, and I think it was like 120 down at the bottom.
What time of year did you go then?
We went sometime in the summer.
Oh,
can't remember. It was really a bad choice. We basically clawed our way back up. We wanted to get up before it got dark, and we thought it would be fine because both of us had been always, athletic and fairly tough-minded, and you guys have been out there, so it's.
I have not, but Mitch has.
I'm trying to talk him into going and doing it at some point.
It does sound fun.
We had a guy run past us up, Bright Angel, and my brother looked at him and said, "You're crazy," and he said, "Thank you." And then my brother looked at me and was like, "We got to do ultra running. That sounds amazing."
Oh wow!
You want to do more of this?
Oh wow!
Well, what I learned before I went, I studied it, and you either got to go early spring or late fall, and I did it. That was 2022 or 2021. 2021. we went in October, but it snowed on the Monday after we left, so we hit it like at the perfect time. So in the box or at the bottom of the canyon, maybe 90 degrees tops. So we hit the perfect weather.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and that was when?
2021. It was
No, time of year.
It was in October. Yeah,
definitely better than July.
Yeah, for sure.
Or any summer month. Well, obviously, you through the years have developed a passion for running, being fit, that kind of a thing, and that kind of plays into what you actually do for a career, right?
Yeah, my wife and I are massage therapists, and we opened up in November. We're called Duo Massage, and we love to work on runners, and we specialize in couples. We're located in Ada, above Endurance Rehab, yeah.
So that plays in a lot too. So I'm just thinking like, okay, so I'm on loop like 120. Am I going to be able to come down and get a massage at the bottom?
Yeah. In past years, I've brought my table, and
really?
and I've had people jump on, and I'll work on them. It's
how much? I'm curious. How much does that? Obviously, you see an importance in that in massage therapy. How much do you think that helps you when you either or when you do it before you run, right after you run? Because I know, Mitch, you've done that. You got a massage right after you run, and you said it's amazing.
It was Glass City last year. It was the only time I've ever. Usually there's a line, and I was like, I'm not waiting around. And I think that I could get right in, and it was great. I think it
was great.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Felt good.
Yeah, it felt great.
See, I would think.
But Nicole does that like every time.
She does it every time. The only reason I say that is because I wouldn't want. In my head, think I don't want anybody to touch my legs because they're sore. But you would obviously say it's not necessarily how it is. It's.
Yeah, everybody's a little different. But it generally can be really helpful in reducing a little bit of that soreness. Immediately post race. Of course, post race in terms of hours later, it's really beneficial to get that blood flow going back into the muscle tissue, and just feels good.
Yeah, I do like not the deep tissue stuff, but like a nice general relaxing type massage. Not Nicole always gets the deep tissue, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, it hurt." In the end, it feels good, but I'm like, why do I want that? I don't. I want to feel good coming out of that, not like I was tore up.
Yeah. Everybody's a little different with that too. I know some of my clients really want me to get after it, and especially if they're sitting at a desk a lot.
I can see that.
Yeah,
and that deep pressure can sometimes help. Create some space and some more movement for people. For me, I don't like to be hurt either. I like to maybe fall asleep and zonk out for a little bit. That's kind of more my jam.
Yeah. I don't remember what they call it, but for me, I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's different than what my wife gets when she gets a massage. Mine's relaxing. She gets hurt.
She gets beat up.
But she says it's great for her in the long run. But well, cool. That's awesome. I would like to just maybe touch on the races one last time. Just dates. Wicked Worm is
June 17.
June 17, and the Midwest Everest is the last weekend in September. I would recommend looking those up. I will say this. Given the sizes of those races, if you want to go test out ultras or trails or anything like that, or a loop style course, because you have the 10K in that Everest one.
Yes.
What does the 10K consist of?
We call it the Sunset 10K, and we shoot them off in the evening while the runners start in the morning who are doing the Everesting. So we go from the 100 milers start at 7 and the 50 milers start at 8. and then 6:30 in the evening we send the 10K people off, and it kind of goes on the backside of the Cannonsburg trails.
Okay.
In kind of our race director Holly is she loves her runners and wants the best experience for everybody. But she made a gnarly 10K course.
Okay.
And it's
well, that's the best.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough and it's really fun.
So actually, that's a really cool idea for maybe your crew. If they're there to crew you, if
should
if
do
your
that.
runner can get away with the crew being gone for a 10K. Now, if you're doing a traditional 100, you could easily get away with that. So that's a really cool idea for if you're a runner and you're taking a crew and they want to go do a 10K, go do a 10K.
Yeah.
That's exactly what a lot of the crew did. Yeah.
Gotcha. So the camp clears out for that 10K quite a bit.
Yeah, it's fun. It raises the energy level for a little while too.
Yeah.
And
it's a sunset. Do they need headlamps for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They should bring headlamps. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just in case.
So yeah, if you want to check out, so do they go to westmichiganwhiskeyrollers.com?
Yeah, you go to westmichiganwhiskeyrollers.com and you can check out both of our races, times, and there's a link in there to sign up. And hope you guys come out and get your first ultra in or get a really hard one.
Any trail, like the 10K, because I'm just thinking like you could, even your times. So you have the 100 miler. What are the timed events? Oh, no, a 50 miler.
Yeah, the Wicked Worm has a time events. But
Wicked Worm has a time event.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
But yeah, go out and check out. I think it's a great way to get introduced to, like, especially with the 10K, like if
trail running in general.
that's what, that's
trail
what
racing, really.
Trail running, trail racing. Yeah, probably racing, because if you don't run any trail prior to that, you might be.
You're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah. So yeah, go check them out. I think it's a fun idea. The Everest thing actually it is quite intriguing. At least a 50 miler. I don't know about 152 times. That is a lot.
Well, I like the idea of like the never-ending smorgasbord then, because I'm going to get something.
That is.
I'm going to bankrupt them just on food
Every time.
like, oh no, you know what I want next time? I'm telling you, I'm going to be right back.
I'll be right back.
This time I want a burrito.
I think somebody actually ordered Chipotle once at the top of the ski hill.
Oh, that's funny. I can see that. I mean, are they close enough for Uber?
Yeah, I think they've had a couple people deliver food. People
see that.
People have come out with food delivered.
Not a bad idea.
I like to eat.
We have our own stuff, but people sometimes just get a hankering for something.
Yeah, it's weird how your stomach is in an ultra, for sure.
And you get a little more time with this race than a traditional 100.
Yeah, we give them 36 hours to finish it because it's tough. It's tough.
30,000 feet of elevation gain in 100 is a lot.
Yeah.
Western States is 18,000.
Huh.
So
yeah.
So it's not an easy race. And you say that obviously Cannonsburg, the ski hill itself, nothing terrible on it. It's pretty runnable, other than it's a hill.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the funny kind of dual identity of this race. It's like it's safe because you're in sight, so it's like it makes a 100 miler seem a little bit more manageable, but at the same time it's 30,000 feet of climbing. That's a lot.
Don't know about that.
Yeah.
Kudos to anybody that has attempted it and finished it. Both of you, both sets of people that have done that. That's impressive. But yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on and joining us and telling us about the races. I'm looking forward to hearing more about them. And I'm thinking of the Wicked Worm. Like, that's an easy one that you can just go do. What was it? What were the times on that? Man, this is terrible. What were the times on that?
We have a 12-hour and a 6-hour.
6 hour. Okay.
Yeah. And then a 10K there as well.
See, I'm looking at those short distances going, all right, those are manageable. Sunset 10K and the Wicked Worm 10K. Just to check them out. And that's the nice thing, is you have a race offered to pretty much any level
everybody.
of runner.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, hey, again, thanks so much. Mitch, any closing comments or thoughts?
Bring pie.
Bring pie to the Everest.
Pie's on the menu now, guys.
Everest. You might have to request. Go on their Facebook page. You guys have a Facebook page?
I believe, Holly, I think she has a Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, look them up, send them a message, ask them for your kind of pie that you want.
But then you got to sign up.
Well, yeah, you have to sign up, but then you can request the pie you want, and chances are they'll have it in one way, shape, or another. Well, cool. Hey, thanks again for joining us. This has been great.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's going to wrap up this week's episode. Be sure to check us out on Facebook. Shoot us an email at idon'tknowrunning@gmail.com. And now you can check us out on YouTube. So go to YouTube, click subscribe, like it, share it with somebody. It's all just in an effort to get this out in front of people and help people have an enjoyable experience running. But that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to check us out next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.